From his meteoric rise to superstardom to his nonchalant attitude in interviews, you'd think Robert Pattinson is totally at home living the celeb life, but nothing could be farther from the truth. Keep watching to learn all the tragic details about Robert Pattinson. Robert Pattinson has admitted to not remembering what life was like before Twilight made him the most recognizable face in the world. Fame isn't the only thing he's coping with, though, as the star opened up to the Daily Telegraph about living with depression and anxiety. Pattinson says, "I kind of like my anxiety in a funny sort of way, and I like my peaks and troughs." He's described his feeling of depression as never lasting long, however. The star even joked, "I would love to go into therapy, but it makes me too anxious." Therapy isn't the only thing that makes him anxious. In an interview with Today, Pattinson described having severe panic attacks before film auditions and explained how it would leave him feeling paralyzed with fear.
I used to get so paralyzed with anxiety before auditions and stuff that you'd do it and I just couldn't do anything.
He now says he uses that fear to channel a better performance. As a famous actor, Robert Pattinson's schedule is filled with lavish photo shoots and red carpets, which, according to him, are things he never looks forward to. In 2013, the actor revealed to Sunday Style magazine that before every red carpet event, he suffers from the symptoms of crippling anxiety and body dysmorphic disorder. "I get a ton of anxiety right up until the second I get out of the car to the event, when suddenly it completely dissipates. But up until that moment, body dysmorphia, overall tremendous anxiety." In 2012, he spoke about being considered a sex symbol, telling reporters, "It's strange, because then you have to think about, well, I have to try to look good-looking, as before I didn't really care." It's clear that his level of fame has led him to be more image-conscious than before. It didn't help being called a sex symbol after his first big role, as well as being voted Glamour's sexiest man alive early on in his career. Long before he was a part of the Twilight franchise, Robert Pattinson landed a role in the Harry Potter franchise, the iconic Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. In an interview with GQ, he described what a big deal it was to be cast as Cedric Diggory, recalling being intimidated the first time he saw the special effects and the large set. To help him prepare for his big break, Pattinson read a book on method acting and discovered one helpful tip: inflicting pain on yourself before every scene. So before filming his Harry Potter scenes, he did just that.
I was psyching myself up as if I was getting into a fight or something before these scenes and just screaming into a pillow and fighting.
While he's unsure if it helped his performance, he did joke that it kept ruining the prosthetic makeup he wore for the role. It turns out, Pattinson still does this even now. Despite his impressive resume and millions of fans around the world, his imposter syndrome leaves him often convinced he doesn't know how to truly act. In an interview with The Guardian, the actor revealed he's filled with self-doubt. "Because I don't really know how to act, I kind of wanted to somehow make it real. You end up walking into a scene having a different feeling." Kristen Stewart and Robert Pattinson were the couple on everybody's lips when Twilight hit the big screen in 2008. Fans likened their on-screen romance to their real-life relationship, and according to public perception, their love story seemed immortal. Everything changed in 2012, however, when Kristen Stewart filmed Snow White and the Huntsman, directed by Rupert Sanders. Fans were stunned when a photo of Stewart smooching Sanders went viral, sending shockwaves to twihards everywhere and Pattinson himself. Although she apologized for cheating, calling it a momentary indiscretion, Pattinson ended the relationship shortly after.
And they're broken up. They're not going to get back together ever.
Such a public fallout is bound to trigger feelings of insecurity and, above all else, heartbreak. To make matters worse, the final installment of Twilight was set to premiere months after the scandal. It's never fun being in the same room as your most recent ex, and the pressure to interview and walk red carpets definitely took an emotional toll on them both. As years passed, Pattinson is no longer as bothered about the breakup as the fans were. He bluntly told Esquire in 2014, "Happens, you know? It's just young people. It's normal. And honestly, who gives a?" He explained that the hardest part was discussing it publicly afterward. The life of a struggling actor means never knowing when you'll land your next role or lose your current one. Before landing the leading role in Twilight, Robert Pattinson had a part in a London stage play. He was 19 years old at the time and eager to shine. The actor may have taken too much creative freedom with his role, however, and it led to his firing just days before opening night. In an interview with Variety, he described falling into a state of self-pity after receiving the news and even described getting absolutely trashed at a local pub. The star also revealed experiencing a stage of denial after the incident. "I was going to all these auditions and telling everyone how I got fired because I stood up for my principles and making up all this bull." After struggling to land a new gig, Pattinson even contemplated quitting acting and pursuing music full-time instead. However, as fate would have it, he soon landed another acting gig. When you're part of a big-budget film like Twilight, a massive press tour featuring the movie's stars is required. In every installment of Twilight, Robert Pattinson found himself scheduled for 80 interviews a day filled with non-stop questions. How did he manage to get through it? Drinking. According to Pattinson, the alcohol apparently made the press tour more enjoyable to get through, but he joked that after a while, the studio cut his interviews when his answers became incoherent. This wasn't the only Twilight experience he had, which he wasn't totally present for. The actor also revealed to GQ that he took Valium before his audition. It apparently left him feeling very spacey and detached while auditioning, which apparently helped him land the role of the mysterious vampire. He joked, "I had never taken Valium before, and I just remember feeling so glorious in the back of the taxi and just being like, wow, this is what I've been missing." Soon after the success of Twilight, Robert Pattinson knew everything wasn't going to be just glitz and glamour. The harassment of the paparazzi and the trolls on the internet studying and criticizing everything about your life would soon be the norm not only for him but for his family. Pattinson spoke about how his fame has also put his two sisters under a microscope they never asked for. He describes a feeling of guilt watching them deal with it. "All you can say is, I'm sorry for bringing this darkness into your life. And also, you don't get anything out of it either." Surprisingly, he no longer feels that famous. The star moved out of Los Angeles after constantly feeling hunted by the paparazzi. Pattinson explained, "You don't even really care about having your photograph taken, but it's the following, the trailing, knowing that you can't escape it. But I moved back to London and it just doesn't happen ever." He's clearly found his peace in the post-Twilight world. In October 2019, Robert Pattinson and Zoe Kravitz both found themselves on a soundstage at Warner Brothers for a chemistry test. Kravitz was hoping to land the role of Catwoman in The Batman alongside Pattinson, but had to complete a screen test first. Both actors admitted to Entertainment Weekly how intimidated they felt, with Pattinson recalling, "The first time I'd even said lines from the script was in Zoe's screen test. They had this idea that they wanted me to be taller at the beginning, so I basically had high-heeled sneakers on, and I'm tottering around in this strange Batman outfit. The camera's not even on me, and I'm literally having this major panic attack, just looking for emotional support from Zoe, who's trying to get the part." Things apparently went smoothly because Kravitz landed the role, and Pattinson is the world's new Batman. The pressure didn't stop there, though. In an interview with Jimmy Kimmel, Pattinson described this as being the first time in a while that he's been nervous to release a film. He apparently waited to screen the film just days before its scheduled release. Filming The Batman was not easy. At the very beginning of production, Robert Pattinson broke his wrist while doing a stunt, and the shoot struggles were far from over after that. Production on the highly anticipated film began in January 2020, just 2 months before the entire world came to a halt due to the COVID-19 pandemic. After production was moved from London to Liverpool, filming only resumed for 3 days before the film had to once again halt production. News soon broke that a cast member tested positive for COVID-19, Batman himself, Pattinson. Despite the pandemic, positive tests, and pausing production, the film was finally completed after 18 long months. The grueling schedule wasn't something Pattinson seemed to mind, though. He revealed to GQ that he ended up feeling grateful for the distraction. "I just always had this anchor of Batman. Rather than thinking you're flotsam to the news, you could feel engaged without being paralyzed by it." He went on to describe the film as one of the hardest things he's ever had to do.
You look for things that kind of scare you, look for things that feel incredibly out of reach. It's such the kind of the jewel in the crown of characters.
Check out one of our newest videos right here. Plus, even more Nicki Swift videos about your favorite stuff are coming soon. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell so you don't miss a single one.